earlier at Christmas, and I knew, and the way that I am a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D person. I don't wait for the tsunami to hit me. I get a sign that it's coming, I prepare. What is the plan B? What's the plan C? So from that point, I was already thinking about what the club may entail, which means you've now got to start talking to people who understand the Kotoko philosophy, which meant that people like Kwabena Yeboah were fundamental in my thinking, understanding. And philosophically, I share the same view as him, which means take the power back to the footballers, take the power back to the supporters, take the power away from the big men, take the power away from the lobbyists, take the power away from the traditional yesi people who destroy the structure of what it's about, and give people a hope in a vision that you can bring about change and greatness with time. So, in many ways, quite simple. Well, I think one of the things that you always got to do with any vision, dream, is that you've got to put a plan together. And then you've got to translate it into a business plan. And then you've got to see whether it's workable. And for me, quite clearly from the early days, we put together a complete business plan, which was a 10-year plan for Kotoko. And we broke it down into 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and took it into 12-month plans. Okay? And part of that, given the fact that the year before we joined Kotoko, on the Galka records, it's always important to state a source, so you are not seen to be bullshitting, forgive my French. They had raised 58,000 cedis, 5 cedis, 80 pesos, on one game in Kumasi. One game in Kumasi. Oh yes, you need to speak to Kwabena Yeboah at some point, because he's an oracle, a historian of what happens within Kotoko, and check the facts. So people didn't see how it would be possible to take care of operating costs, let alone take care of, old problems. So the key was to, and for me it was about embracing the whole of Ghana in this. So part of the program had many facets. And one in terms of communicating the message, understanding that graphic sports, for example, had a stranglehold on information. And it was being run by Felix Abayete and others who were Hearts of Oak people, and other redundant Kotoko people who had been sitting behind a desk, don't go to matches but write rubbish. Oh, if you ever read Kotoko Express, you know I told them this is the way I feel, and I think they over a period have done a big disservice to Ghana football. The people, they are almost archaic in their positions, and they have no position and should not be, and they've infiltrated themselves into swag, and which is part of the reason that Ghana football is in such a bad state, because the people who could bring about change, the people, if you take it that the administrators in Ghana football are inherently inefficient, and some of them essentially corrupt and visionless, then the people who should bring them to book are the journalists. So if they are also made up of a quagmire of mediocrity, then the people who suffer at the end of the day are the supporters. Which is why we established the Kotoko Express, which became the second highest selling newspaper in Ghana, second only to the Graphic. And at one point, in my view, I was outselling the Graphic. That's how big we got it to become. I wrote a column in it myself, every single edition, a full page. I made sure it had transparency. I made sure that after every match, the accounts were published in it. Given that there are so many stakeholders, the FA, the Galka, the PLB, the VAT, security agencies, so that it is indisputable, although later they disputed it. But we made sure that we put that through, and part of the business plan had a radio station, a television station, we had the internet service. Don't forget, we were one of the first in the world to start live matches on internet. So 1999, 2000, we had live matches as it was going on that you now see on Sky and BBC and so forth. It was actually going through, which meant people in Toronto, in Australia, wherever, were getting live, up-to-date issues of what was going on in Kotoko. Well, when you are involved with Kotoko and you are involved as a Ghanaian, you'll always have people who will start such rumors. And the rumors are so lunacidal. You have to decide when you're in public office whether you will respond to such things or whether you leave them. And those rumors started at a time where certain politicians believed that Herbert Mensah had become too powerful. And in those early days of the MPP, there were people who then started believing that I had become too powerful. which is why Osei Kweku and people, the minister at the time, started and embarked on those rumors. Now, for anybody who followed Kotoko first and foremost, for anybody who was semi-literate, therefore could read, would understand that there could be no basis of such a story for the following reasons. One, after every single match, the accounts were published. You go and pick up anything or go to my blog. You'll see I published every single Kotoko Expresses on my blog. Every single from the boardroom. So if it is that you went into there, you'd see exactly what was being published on every single edition of the Kotoko Express in terms of revenues in terms of costs, in terms of overheads. It'll become very clear to you that Kotoko itself, very little, it doesn't matter how much money you were earning, it was not enough to subsequently run the team. So the monies were being published clearly in the newspapers. At the end of every season, the accounts were audited. I was using Pramea, who were affiliated to Mechanical Lloyd BMW, as external auditors. When they were audited, they were then submitted to Otumfo to sign off. Okay? Now let's go back into a more basic format. Kumasi Stadium, you'll see at halftime policemen escorting the people carrying the money into the strong room. Nobody can ever say, I went into the Kotoko strong room. Don't forget, you are in the strong room. There are many stakeholders. You can't simply take stakeholders' money out. When we started, the home team would get a percentage, the away team would get a percentage. Does that mean we're taking the away team's money? PLB, VAT, GFA, Red Cross. There are about 10 to 15 different stakeholders at the end of the match who would take part of their money, which is why we published the accounts in the newspaper. So now if we publish the accounts in the newspaper, there must now be a dispute against what was allegedly taken, what was published, what was audited, and what the other stakeholders had to say. So